Hey guys, it's Brad with College SportsCast. What's up? We are here to talk about the Orange Bowl and the Cotton Bowl. It is time for the College Football Playoff Semifinals. Hey guys, welcome back. It is Brad with College Sportscast. I've got John Hammonds on here with me tonight. What's up, Hammonds?
What's up, man?
We are here to talk about the College Football Playoff semifinal rounds. They begin tomorrow night. Before I get to that, real quick, Facebook is grown tremendously. Just want to say a huge thank you to each and every one of you. You can help support us by sending us stars on content just like this, or you can subscribe to our Facebook page. It's only 99 cents a month. Trying to get a chat room in there for subscribers and a few other things going. And like I said, that is only 99 cents a month. And all of that helps us continue to make more content for you guys. All right. John, it is time or almost time for the Orange Bowl tomorrow night. I did about an hour and a half ago have an article out on Stadium Rant. Check it out. It's an Orange Bowl preview. And John, I think, is going to have one out for the Cotton Bowl tomorrow night.
Yeah, I think it's 8 Eastern time, maybe. I'm not real sure, but it'll be out tomorrow evening sometime.
Yep. And the Orange Bowl one that I did is out right now. Go check those out. We appreciate that. Put in a lot of hard work on trying to write all this and keep you guys informed. And there's also a ton of other cool stuff if you're a sports fan on stadiumrant.com to check out as well. They've got, I don't know, Lord, seems like there's 50, 60, 70 writers or something. There's a bunch of them.
Quite a bit.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. So anything and everything, go check them out. Speaking of that, and Stadium Rant, you can see at the top of the screen there, I've got our College Sportscast symbol up there. I do want to, real quick, put the Stadium Rant symbol up there. We are a part of Stadium Rant now and appreciate them. Give them a shout out. We are Stadium Rant writers, and we appreciate them and definitely want to give them a shout out.
Oh, Chris, that's awful nice, man. He said my two idols, he said. I'm glad somebody thinks of us that way.
What's up, Chris Vaughn?
What's up, Chris?
Hey, man. All right. So, John, we're doing kind of a combo show. We're going to do a little bit of the big fuss, and then we're going to really hit the college football playoffs here in just a little bit. But I think we're going to start out, John, with a few hot topics. And I know John wants to hit this one, so we're going to do this one right off the bat. I'm going to open the door here so John can have his little rant. We're with Stadium Rant, so we're going to do some rants here on the big fuss. Officiating in college sports, and this goes like college football this season there was so many games that was horrible. It seems like it is bled over into basketball. What is the deal? What's going on? What's your initial thoughts here?
I mean, there's really no consistency, Brad. One team can play physical and the other team can't. You got missed calls like last night. There was in the Kentucky-Georgia game, there was 4 or 5 missed calls right out of the gate. You had the one under the basket where the guy kind of like flopped on the ground Then you had the one where I know a lot of people thought it was a travel, where he rolled on the floor and picked the ball up, but according to the rule, that was not a travel.
But it sure was a foul when he slapped across Brandon Garrison's arms to create the loose ball to start.
and another one was Santos Surreal when he was out front. He was all over. Was it Jackson Robinson or Mark Wynn?
Him with his arm.
He had his hands all over him, and there was no call. I don't know what's going to change or what can change. But there needs to be some consistency. There needs to be some, things change for this to get better. And I don't really think it can get any better because, I've noticed in not even, youth sports, high school, there's not many refs willing to get out there on the court because
let's face it, John. Refs take a beating. I mean, they get death threats and everything. They take an absolute beating. It's not an easy job being a ref.
What was it? 5-6 years ago? Kentucky lost to North Carolina. John Higgins, and Kentucky made threats to his job, his roofing business, and threats that
it's not an easy job, and they get threats and all kinds of stuff. I mean, they get people try to ruin their personal life. I mean, it's crazy, and that's the reason why there's just not very many people that are willing to do it. However, here's what I want to talk about. Yes, you can talk about some bad calls last night. There's bad calls in every game.
Yeah, there is.
But, man, last night's game was absolutely miserable to watch.
Well, Brad,
it took absolute forever. They went to the monitor with everything. They probably went to the monitor a dozen times in the second half alone. There was some in the first half as well. I see Chris here talking about, give them 2 challenges and that's all they get. In that case, a lot of times if you win the challenge, you win that back. If you lose the challenge, you lose that one challenge. That's usually the way that goes. That could be a way to help this, but the flow of the game, there was a time in that game for about 4 minutes on the clock, like 3 or 4 minutes on the clock, where the refs kept blowing the whistle and Kentucky couldn't even get the ball across half court. They got it across half court like twice, and the refs kept blowing the whistle.
And I say that
the action.
I say that to say this, Brad. College basketball is one of the best sports in all of America. I mean, we all love it. We all tune in every single night. But there's a massive problem. There's no way that a game should take 2.5 hours. There's no reason.
Pretty much 2 hours and 40 minutes. Pretty close.
I'd be happy with a bad ref who was just consistently bad for both teams. I mean, I would take that over what we got right now.
I'm telling you, I have watched hundreds of thousands, been a part of seriously hundreds of thousands of basketball games. Last night's game was damn near impossible to watch. Not only did they go to the monitor, they took forever about going to the monitor. When they went to the monitor, they still got things wrong. I mean, it was just atrocious. I'm going to give you a stat. So with about 12 minutes to go, Kentucky cut the game to 5. It was 55-50 with about 12 minutes to go in the second half. Okay? Georgia shot 22 free throws from that point on in the game. And I know that everybody's talking about the, 39-22 or whatever it was, the difference. And they shot somewhere around like 39 or 40. 22 of those were after the 12-minute mark in the second half. The last 4 minutes of the second half of that game, 4 minutes on the clock, took 32 minutes in real time to play. Four minutes. I mean, it was just insane.
No other sport, Brad, to me, has to deal with refs continually. I think ruin games more than college basketball. Now, the NBA's bad. There's games where they're bad, but this is a every single night thing. I've never seen it. Like, we went to the monitor, I bet you 100 times. It was back and forth, trying to decide what a foul is and what a foul ain't. We've got 50 foul calls called in a college basketball game. Get your guys some training. This is pathetic, man. I know that I'm not an official, and I know that I probably don't know all the rules like they do, but it has to get better than besides this.
Well, part of it, John, is they allowed the game to be entirely way too physical for the entirety of the game. So when the last 5-6 minutes happened, they didn't have control of it. And it was so physical that it got out of hand. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm an old school guy, okay? I grew up and watched the NBA in the 80s. And last night's game reminded me of 80s NBA basketball. That's what the game reminded me of. It reminded me of the Piston Bad Boys or the Moses Malone 76ers and Charles Barkley 76ers. It was that kind of physical game. I'm talking about even before like the Knicks 90s. I'm talking about when they would clothesline you. And that's kind of what was going on last night. Well, people dragging people down, pulling people. There was people locking up, and they went to review over a damn play where two players are clearly locked up, tangled, fighting. Looks like in a picture that one of them's choking the other. One of them's got the arm, hooked, or leg hooked around their arm. They went to the monitor, reviewed this play, took a TV timeout to do it, come back and called nothing. Nothing. I mean, you can't even make that up. That's insane. They come back and called nothing.
Well, that's not even the worst of it. Doug Childs was calling the UConn Villanova game tonight. And there was a call late in the game. I don't know, 3-4 seconds left. The Villanova guy never even touched. I didn't think it was a foul. Alex Caravan went to the line, a chance to take the lead, and he missed both free throws, and Villanova won. And I always say, ball don't lie. That foul really didn't help. So he missed 2 free throws, and it kind of evened itself out. And that's another ref that kind of irks my gears when he comes to Lexington because he's not real favorable to Kentucky either.
My thing is this: SEC, wake the hell up, because you cannot have that kind of crap going on in games just simply because of officiating.
Well,
they've got to handle themselves. And if you're not going to call anything on plays like that when people are drugged to the floor and held on to and everything else, what do you expect the flow of the game to be? If you're going to allow it to happen, guess what? It's only going to get worse.
I want to say
simple.
I want to say this real quick before we move on. I know Kentucky didn't play well. They shot 6 of 25 from 3.
Yeah.
Here's my take on that. I know that shooting that way, that bad, is not going to win you many games. You're not going to win many games shooting like that. But when there's crucial times like where they was down 5, and they had a chance to cut the lead, and then the officials kind of got in the way and because if you remember, Brad, the game was at 5, and they went down. Georgia did, and they shot a 3, and they called a foul on a 3-point shot where he was not even near him. And they went up, 8?
Yeah.
From 5 to 8, and the game was basically over. One call changed the matter of a game. And I say that these calls change momentum. That they, when there's no flow, they go back and forth to the monitor. I've seen it in some of these tight NCAA tournament games, Brad. They'll go the monitor 30 times in the 50-second range.
It's unbelievable.
It's absolutely atrocious.
But I'm going to tell you guys, last night's game, I could have swore I was watching Bill Lambier and Rick Mahorn. I could have swore that's what I was watching.
It was just, which I get, Kentucky needs to be more physical, Brad. But when you're not allowed to play physical and Georgia's allowed to push and pull and tug and do it,
they were literally dragging people to the ground.
That's what I mean. When they're allowed to do that and you're allowed not to do anything, I have a problem with that. I have a problem when another team is allowed to play physical and then you try to fight back, there's a foul call on something.
I mean, let's be honest.
I don't agree with
Kirby Smart was sitting courtside last night. I don't know if you guys saw that, but Kirby Smart was sitting courtside last night. I'm sure after last night's game that he's going to recruit a couple of them kids to come out and play football.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure of it.
I mean, it's probably a given at this point.
I mean, Lord have mercy. It's absolutely ridiculous. I've never seen – I mean, I remember watching games like that in the 80s. I swear. I mean,
here's another aspect.
And Charles Barkley.
Here's another aspect of it, Brad, and we'll move on to a new topic because we kind of knocked this one to the tee. But when Kentucky is playing that ugly pace like Georgia's doing, which is going to happen in certain games, you're going to have to overcome the officials. You're going to have to overcome your shooting, and you're just going to have to play through it and win ugly. And Kentucky's not been able to do that. They've lost 3 games like that.
And guess
Ohio
what?
State, Clemson, and Georgia, and they've all 3 been the same.
More games are coming just like that.
Saturday's another one.
I'm going to tell you. More games are coming just like that.
Yeah.
All right, John, I'm going to touch on this real quick. Last evening, actually, Georgia Amoore was selected to the top 25 watch list on the women's game for the Wooden Award. I think it's well deserved. I mean, Juju Watkins is there, and Paige Beckers, and Lauren Betts, and Hannah Hidalgo, and I mean, I'm not so sure that she has a great chance of winning it, but for her to be in the top 25, possibly if she could make a top 10, that would be huge for her, I think, and for Kentucky.
Impressive. She's having a really good year. She's, I'm impressed with her. The way she passes, the way she scores. She's had really 2 back-to-back games against Mississippi State and Vanderbilt. They got a big one on the road tomorrow night against Florida. Hopefully they don't have a hangover, really, because, in certain these games you can't take one game and another game off. You got to be on your game.
Road game tomorrow night in Florida.
It's a little – it can be a little tough sometimes when you win big. You get up for 2 big games, and then you get a game like Florida that a Florida team that's kind of they're not
10-6. I mean, they're not
say they're great, but they're good.
Not terrible, but they're not great either.
But you can't slow down and think, well, we beat Vanderbilt and Mississippi State. We can just roll this game. You can't do that. You got to go into it and realize that, you got to play your game. You got to do what you've done before. And I think they'll do that, and I think they'll come out on top tomorrow night. I think they'll win this road game. I think there's some winnable games on this stretch for these Lady Cats.
I just wanted to give her a shout-out for making the top 25 list.
Clara Strack. I wanted to give a shout-out to Clara Strack. If you're listening, Clara, unbelievable season so far. I can't, it's just hard to believe a girl your size can shoot threes like that. It's impressive.
And
man.
Pass the way.
That's impressive. That's impressive.
She's a future Wooden Award watch list person for sure. All right, John, I got to ask you about this. Belichick, is he going to stick around in college very long, or is he about to head back to the NFL? What do you think?
I think
I'm hearing today that the Raiders, Tom Brady's out there. I'm hearing the Raiders are a real possibility. They've called and talked to him.
I think he'll stay a couple years at North Carolina because I think, North Carolina kind of needs a jolt right now. And they've kind of been – they've had a few good recruiting classes with Mac Brown, but they've not had really great they had that one season, I think, was it the Orange Bowl? The one year was it Drake May, maybe?
You should, Jonathan. They have a great team.
No, it wasn't Drake May. It was who was it before Drake May, the quarterback for the Bears? Trubisky.
Yeah.
Trubisky. They had that one great year with Trubisky. But other than that, North Carolina has not really been a big-time school when it comes to football. It's always been about basketball, I think. But you get a big name like Bill Belichick, kids are going to want to play for him, especially these.
I agree with that.
High school kids.
When Tom Brady, his ex-quarterback, calls him to go out back to the NFL, will he bolt right away? I'm not saying he does. It's a question worth asking.
There's always a chance.
The one thing I will say this: in his contract, I found this out today. In his contract, if he does bolt before June 1st of 2025, which means before he would actually coach a game, he's got a buyout in his contract that if he does it before June 1st of 2025, he's got to pay North Carolina $10 million in his contract. Yeah.
That's why I say That's why I say I don't think he's going to do that for at least a couple of years.
Yeah, man. He's got to pay Carolina $25 million. If he does that, that's craziness. All right, John, I got to ask you: did you see Cooper Flagg's play last night?
Oh, I did. I
almost retweeted or posted it. and I should have, and I may go back and do it because I know a bunch of people, fans, that are fans of Kentucky and us and friends and stuff are gonna basically poo-poo. I'll say that a nice way, a post about Cooper Flagg. But I'm gonna tell you guys, he played like a monster last night. He had a dunk coming down that was just nasty.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's a pretty big deal. I mean,
poster child, somebody.
Now, I heard somebody say, well, he's better than Zion. I don't think he's Zion. Physically, I don't think he's that same kind of player. Their game's not the same.
No, but I'll tell you what.
He's more of a lanky kid.
I would take Cooper Flagg over Zion Williamson.
I would in the shooting and, driving. Now Zion's different when it comes to being powerful. And
Zion never could, even in high school, even at college, he never could stay healthy.
He couldn't. He could not. I mean, he's dominating college basketball. He's probably going to be the number one pick. He's got incredible talent. If you would have told me back in the preseason, I would have expected Zion levels of buzz, but we haven't really had that yet.
Yeah, but he's playing. He's really coming on the last few weeks and playing real strong now. Like, I mean, a night like last night, let's be honest, that might propel him to be in some talks with the Wooden Awards and things of that nature. I mean,
and something that people miss about this was a transition slam on a 7-footer.
Yeah.
That's
just nasty.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I listened. I don't know if you ever listened to Matt Norlander.
Then he come back and had a rim shaker later, two-hander.
Yeah. I don't know if you listened to Matt Norlander. I love Matt Norlander. He's one of my favorite. I was listening to the Eyes on the College Basketball SportsCast, and they was kind of talking about Flagg and Zion and how the buzz with Zion was and the big brand, and they were just giving him a lot of credit about how he's a really good, flashy player. And he even mentioned that Cooper has an uncommon path, being from Maine, being the number one in his class.
I mean, he's from a place where anybody pays
probably never going to see that again. When it comes to that kind of path that they make, because most of these kids come from big-time high schools.
Hey, Kaylin Carroll is from Maine. And she's coming to Kentucky next year. She's a 6'3". She'll be a 6'3" freshman. Remember the name.
Well, and Norlander and he was kind of mentioning about being in Connecticut, Rhode Island, places like that. They don't produce a lot of generational guys.
Nope.
That was why he was talking about that. I don't think he's going to be the transitional player that Zion was in college basketball. But I think he'll have a better pro career
if he can stay healthy. Yes,
I agree. If that makes sense.
If he can stay healthy, I agree. Listen, I'm not a Duke fan, but you got to give it to this kid. This kid, I mean, 2 months ago, at the beginning of November, he was still 17. I don't know if he's had a birthday since then or not. I'm not sure. But 2 months ago when we played him, he was still 17.
And he's also, as a freshman, he's in the race to win National Player of the Year.
Yeah.
But if you look at who he's running against, he's going up against Janai
Broome. Yeah.
Somebody, Duke already played them already, and Duke won that game.
Yeah.
So to be the best player in college basketball, and have your name in the National Player of the Year race with Janai Broome and you being a freshman and a kid from Maine that, doesn't create a lot of great players from that area and that region.
Check out the Raiders and Tom Brady.
Says a lot. Says a lot.
With the Belichick news. That's what we were talking about.
Yeah. That says a lot about Cooper Flagg.
Oh, man, Cooper Flagg is he's really coming on. I thought he started out kind of up and down, a little bit. But the last 3 weeks or so, he's really – and last night was kind of his coming out party. I mean,
it was.
That was a tremendous, tremendous night last night against Pitt. And like you said, that dunk on the break where he went over top of that dude, that was against a 7-footer.
Yeah. And against a pretty good Pitt team too.
Yeah. All right, Mick Cronin. John, did you catch his comments about his own team?
Yeah.
Whoa. If you guys didn't hear Mick Cronin's comments last night after basically a 20-point loss to Michigan, go check them out because he laid it on his own team. I mean, told his own team he actually said that his own team was delusional. He said that word. I'm not making it up.
Here's the thing about Cronin. He's who he is. He's not going to change. I think,
I was just wow.
He's been that way since he was at Cincinnati. He's always been that kind of guy. I thought they should have been a better way to handle that. But I'm not big on throwing your players under the bus in a press conference. To be honest.
But I'm gonna be honest with you, John. Didn't you feel like that's what he did?
Yeah, I mean, I felt like that's pretty much.
Yeah,
he called him delusional.
Yeah,
soft. I think
was some of the soft. He did his own team. He actually used the word soft, and he said that they were delusional. Talking about his own.
I think too, Brad. I think he's got a lot of leeway too, because a lot of fans will be like, "Oh, get rid of him, get rid of him, get rid of him." But at the same time, he took them to a Final Four. Yeah. I think they went to the Elite Eight maybe a year or two ago. So he's got some leeway when it comes to stuff like that. But when it comes to stuff like this, I think in-house needs to be a lot better choice, because I'm not a big fan of throwing you players under the – I've always said you can ruin a lot of kids. Coaches over the years can ruin players and make them hate basketball. And that can be this little case as well. And you see, and not just college level, we're talking high school level, grade school level. If you do too much of this, it can cause friction among players and coaches. And I've known some coaches and players to hold grudges over years because of things like this.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't seriously. I was kind of blown away.
I'm not a big fan.
It wasn't really the tone of the press conference that I had a problem with. It was a couple of words that I was just like, "Whoa!"
I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of stuff like that.
Yeah. All right, John. Number one, Tennessee had a very, very bad night in Gainesville last night. I know Kentucky fans were pretty upset, us included, I'm sure. But let's be honest. Tennessee had 15 points at halftime against Florida and wound up with 43 points in a game.
And Tennessee shot 21% from the field. That's not going to win you many basketball games. And that was the worst under Rick Barnes, and the worst by number one ranked team, to be exact. Florida played really, really good defense last night. They had their iffy defense Saturday against Kentucky. They had it last year in the tournament when they played Colorado. But if the UK performance for me showed what Florida is, the Tennessee game showed a great ceiling that the Gators could be a threat to go to the Final Four. They had an average offense.
But what does it say to you about this Tennessee team? Because
it's concerning.
I'm going to be honest with you, John. I thought this Tennessee team was going to be a little better but man, like you can't score 43 points in a game and be a top team like that. That's like Kentucky played bad last night, shot bad, played bad, was out physicaled, everything else. They still scored 69 points.
Tennessee's floor,
43 points. Me, you, and two pickup guys could possibly do that.
Tennessee's floor offensively is low. This is going to be a challenge for Tennessee because now they got to go to Texas on Saturday. They're probably going to have video on how the Vols, struggled on offense and whatnot.
Corey.
And here's another fact, Brad.
I will say this, John, to this right here. Corey says he wants to see Kentucky full court press. I think that's going to be a key. These teams are trying to out-physical us. I think if we full court press them early on in these games and force our tempo with a full court press instead of sitting back and letting them dictate the tempo, I think that could be a solution to our problem in these SEC games. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Oh, you're good. And I say this, Florida's defense is middle of the pack. And if that's middle of the pack defense, that could spell trouble for Tennessee moving forward.
That's unbelievable. I couldn't believe that they only had
offense continues to sputter like this. And I'm going to tell you something. Denzel Aberdeen last night for Florida, the guard that didn't really play great at Kentucky, he had a really good game last night. And Walter Clayton Jr., he did not have his best game.
And they still won by 30.
They still won.
By 30.
And that shows you what kind of depth Florida has in their backcourt.
Listen, guys, Florida only scored 73 points last night. Like, they didn't have their A game.
No, not at all.
And still whipped Tennessee by 30.
Tennessee just had a stinker of a game offensively and basically couldn't score. Let's just say what it is. Could not score.
That was horrendous, is what that was.
It was bad.
All right, we're going to move on. We're going to get to the college football playoff games. We're going to talk about these because we got these, and I've got some basketball games to talk about too. So, but the first one is tomorrow night. It's the Orange Bowl, and Notre Dame and Penn State have a little bit of history in the Rose Bowl, in the Orange Bowl, and Notre Dame tonight on DraftKings was 1.5. Early today, when I looked on something else, it was 2.5. So I'm not exactly sure where it's at right now, but I put 1.5 as the Notre Dame is the favorite here. What do you think on this one, John?
This is one of those toss-up games. Both teams have really, really good defense. Notre Dame likes to run the football. I think Penn State likes to do it maybe 10% of the time, maybe. Lean on the offensive line, use their dominant defense. Now, I will say Penn State has the edge at quarterback. Drew Aller, I think when he's healthy, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. But can Penn State, like you said the other night, Brad, can he finally get over the hump? And can he win?
Here's a chance right here.
This is where it gets tricky because every time Penn State gets in that, one-game situation, it seems like they fail.
Well, they have won 2 college football playoff games.
I do agree. I'm talking more in the last 3 or 4 years when something like this occurs. They seem to fall on their face. They don't really play well. You look at Notre Dame's defense. Notre Dame's defense may be better than Georgia's, and that's saying a lot. They're really, really good. I trust Notre Dame.
Both of these defenses, John, are both really good physical defenses. Both of them. They're both top 10 defenses. Both offensive kind of struggle passing the ball, or at least inconsistent passing the ball. I think both quarterbacks can be inconsistent at times. I will say I think Aller is a probably a little better passer. I think Riley Leonard is a better runner with the ball. So this is going to be a smash mouth game, in my opinion. What do you think?
Well, here's where I have an issue, Brad. When it comes to these top games, I think coaching matters. Notre Dame won the game last week with they went off the field. They was going to punt and they come back on and they baited Georgia into
special teams and defensive turnovers is what won them.
Then you got James Franklin, who's notorious for choking big games down the stretch. And that's why I trust Marcus Freeman in this one game thing. I think they're better in every phase, defense, offense. And I think they're just better than Penn State. And that's why I think Notre Dame, when it's all said and done, they'll be playing for the national championship on Monday night.
I want to pick – there's a big part of me that wants to pick Notre Dame in this game too. I just have a feeling that it's Penn State's year to at least get there to the championship game.
I just can't trust Franklin.
I don't like – so Notre Dame has lost one or two of their better defensive players in the playoffs.
I know Jeremiah Love is, if he don't play, that's going to be a big loss.
Yeah, and I think they're going to be down a player or two on their defense, and their defense is really what has helped them get where they are and rebound from that early loss and have the season that they have had. And something tells me that there is just there's something in the air where Franklin is at least going to get to the championship game. I'm going to take the upset here and take Penn State Nittany Lions. There is plenty to talk about the other way around and say that Notre Dame is likely to win this game. I do like a lot of the things that you talked about, including the coaching and everything else. But for me, I just think I have this feeling that it's Penn State's year. And I think that's where the rubber hits the road here. And I think that somehow, some way, we're going to see something tomorrow night that we don't expect. We're going to see Drew Allar. We're going to see him, pass for 2 touchdowns. Hit a long bomb for a touchdown. I just have a feeling that we're going to see something from this Penn State team that we don't expect. So that's where I'm at with it.
Fair enough.
All right, the Cotton Bowl. Now, before we get to that, again at the top, I told you I have a Stadium Rant article tonight. Look it up, stadiumrant.com. Preview for the Orange Bowl tomorrow night. John has a Cotton Bowl preview, kind of talking about SEC and Texas a little bit in that one. So it's on the Cotton Bowl, and that's on Friday night. And Ohio State, John, is a 6-point favorite over Texas.
I think that's fair. They're rolling right now. They beat Tennessee, whipped number 1 Oregon.
Is this the 2 best teams?
Offensive, defense, I think so. I mentioned that a little bit in my article. I want everybody to read it. Jeremiah Smith, he's combined for, listen to this, Brad, 290 yards and 4 touchdowns in 2 games.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's kind of good.
He's good. Chip Kelly, the offensive coordinator, he's opened up the playbook for the quarterback, which is Will Howard, the transfer from Kansas State. Now, they're going up against a pretty good defense in Texas. They can get after you a little bit. Up front, there may not be a better front 4 than what Texas brings to the table here. And they're going up against the Ohio State offensive line. I think they're down a couple starters. But they've made it work during this college football playoff. I think this game is decided on Ohio State's side.
It's basically, is Ohio State going to jump out quick like they have the last 2 games? Score 21 points in the first quarter?
Possible. It depends on how Texas comes out. If Texas comes out like they did against Arizona State, this game could be over really quick.
Well, I think they played a pretty good first half against Arizona State.
Well,
actually.
I mean,
It was the second half.
It just seemed like
Texas didn't play well.
It just seemed like they were stuck in mud at times. Now,
but I think a lot of that was the second half.
The Buckeyes, they pressured the opposing quarterbacks, especially one was in Dylan Gabriel. They made him. I mean, he had nowhere to go last week. 8 sacks in the Rose Bowl. I mean, come on now. That's like, I don't know. That's like me eating 8 hot dogs and you being surprised that I'm actually eating them that many. like that's quite a bit of stuff. And I will say this, Brad, you've noticed it. I've noticed it. Being from SEC country, when Quinn Ewers faces pressure, he don't do good. He's not great.
Yeah.
And they go through different times of not being able to move the football. Especially against Arizona State, they scored 2 touchdowns.
If they get stuck in the mud again Friday night in the game and things aren't going as well, do you think we'll see Arch Manning?
It's possible. Jadal Baring put one of the best performances, that a cornerback has had against Arizona State. He's the real deal. But listen, brother, you're going up against 6'4" Jeremiah Smith, the Bullfrog.
Yeah.
Friday night. And the rest is history. Jeremiah was a Bullfrog Smith is the real deal, and he's legit. And so,
unfortunately, I do think Ohio State wins this game.
I'm
saying unfortunate as an SEC fan.
But my pick is Ohio State. I think their championship defense wins this for them. But their offense is what actually wins this game. They just have the better offense than Texas does. Not to deny that Texas has, Isaiah Bond.
The only thing I'm going to ask you is this. Will this game being in Texas' backyard, will that play any role in this game?
Not really. The reason I say that is because, Ohio State fans travel. So it's more like a neutral game, but
the Cotton Bowl was played in Arlington.
It is. So I agree. I think there'll be a lot of Texas fans there. I think there'll be a lot of, contingent for them, but I think Ohio State travels well. They're going to have their fans there. They always travel well. It's Ohio State football, for crying out loud. It's a big deal in the state of Ohio. So,
Josh, I can't help it, man. I'm an SEC guy. I admit that I'm an SEC guy. I don't like that Texas is in the SEC, but that doesn't change the fact that they are. But I'm not a big Texas fan. I really don't like them. But if you ask me if I'm going to pick them or Ohio State as far as who I'm pulling for, there's no way. I'm an SEC. I am a South football guy. There is no way on the face of this earth that in this situation that I would ever say to y'all, I'm going to pull for Ohio State. I'm just not.
But to counter your question, I got Ohio State. I just think their offense is better than Texas. I just think Texas is. There's going to be a point in this game where if they go into those spells, like I said, where they can't move the football and Ohio State gets the ball back and they have to punt, and Ohio State moves it up and down the field, Texas ain't going to be able to win this game. They're not going to be able to play from behind.
I think Ohio State wins it. I do. I'm going to pick Ohio State because I'm picking with my head here. But here's the deal. Also, as a Kentucky fan, Ohio State has always picked us apart as far as recruiting right here in our backyard. Mm-hmm. And we've had battles after battles after battles, and Ohio State wins 80-90% of them when it comes to recruiting because of who they are. I'm just telling y'all, as a Southeastern guy, as far as pulling for, I don't know how you could possibly pull for Ohio State in the Big Ten. I just don't know how you could do it. Josh? I get it. Texas will. If they were to win the title, they will talk about how they done it in the first year. I get it. I still can't pull for Ohio State. I just can't do it. I'm going to tell y'all right now, whoever wins the Notre Dame Penn State game, if Ohio State does win, that's who I'm pulling for in the championship game. It's just that simple. I don't know how you could pull for Ohio State as a Kentucky guy. I just don't. That's just me. All right, John. I do have a few basketball games here. I don't have as many as we normally do, but I'm going to start this one out with this one. This is some surprise games here. I didn't tell John I was going to do this. But on Saturday, Kentucky goes to Mississippi State. Does Kentucky find a way to rebound in Starkville at the hump?
That's a tough question. You got Josh Hubbard, Charles Matthews, Claudell for Mississippi State. This is going to be a tough environment. They got R.J. Melendez. They're a really good rebounding team. They're 14-1. I think this morning they was ranked in the top 25-1, number 8. I think on Gary Parrish's poll. So this is going to be a tough game. But do I think Kentucky has another Georgia game like they did Tuesday? No. I think Pope's going to have these guys ready. I think they're going to be more prepared for this game. Now, I will say they'll probably lose this game, but I think they're going to play a lot better than they did against Georgia, and I think they're going to at least shoot a little bit better than they did against Georgia.
I'm going to tell you what we got to put an APB out on. That's Jackson Robinson.
Yeah, he's –
like, seriously, man, if he doesn't come alive, there is not much hope on a lot of these road games. If Jackson Robinson has to be found.
Well, the thing is, you can't have Kobe Brea doing all the scoring. You can't have Atega Owe because he's not a great 3-point shooter.
Where have you gone, Mr. Robinson?
Yeah, that's a big question.
I don't know if y'all caught that reference or not.
I mean, I mentioned that.
Where have you gone, Mr. Robinson?
I mentioned that in my article last night. For him to succeed and for Kentucky to succeed, they got to have him. He's got to be in there. No way fans or buts about it.
I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I thought the easier win this week was going to be at Georgia. We had 2 road games. Mm-hmm. I kind of expected a loss at Mississippi State before the week started. The game started this week. I'm going to stick with it. I think Mississippi State is going to get us there. If this was at home, I would pick Kentucky. I think that Georgia loss was big last night. I really do.
Well, and I say this too, Brad. At the same time, you got to steal steal at least 2 of those road wins, and you got to win out. You got to at least win majority of your home games.
I don't know, Josh. I told you last night. You was asking me. I don't know, but I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm kind of doing a little funny about it. But where have you gone, Mr. Robinson? I'm not even playing. It's seriously. Hey, hey, hey. I mean, the Beatles song, if you don't know, look it up. But anyways. I don't know what John's doing, but I got another one here. Florida and Arkansas. Florida goes to Arkansas Saturday.
Tough. Arkansas lost to Ole Miss tonight. I think by 6 or 7. So Arkansas is 0-2 right out of the gate in conference. Who would have thought that? Who would have thought that?
And they're at home. Florida goes there. Where have you gone, Mr. Robinson? I'm sorry. I can't get that out of my head now.
Then there's that one where have you gone, Mr. John Calipari? Oh, goodness. Oh, me. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I do not. That's not a shot at Cal. But you told me, Brad, I think it was early in November. You said wait till January and February hit. He said they'll want to pull – Arkansas fans are going to pull their hair out.
They will.
And it's already starting.
Yeah.
And, tough loss tonight. But I want to tell you, Arkansas better win this game. And I don't say that just for conference. I'm saying that for the tournament because they don't have a lot of great wins.
Well, I mean, they'll get some more chances, but an 0-3 start here would not look good. Not
No.
at all.
Mm-mm.
But Florida is a damn good team. Like, even at home, when we beat them, they still played really good. They're a damn good team here. I
I'm going to
think
tell
I'm
you,
going to take the Gators.
I think I am. And you know who's playing as good as anybody? Elijah Martin, former FAU transfer.
Man, he played so well the other night.
He played really well. He scored 18 against
I think
Tennessee.
he's a much better player than John L. Davis off of
do.
that same team.
I do.
100%. All right, Saturday, Tennessee goes to Texas. Do they show some life after 43 points?
Couldn't get no worse. Chaz Lanier was 3 of 16 from the field Tuesday. They go into this game against Texas, who pretty much pushed Auburn to the brink. Auburn didn't play well down the stretch.
Jason coaches AAU ball, and we have to do shows on Tuesday nights to get him, and we've kind of been doing odd and end shows for a little while through the holidays and stuff. So that's the reason why he hasn't been on, Josh.
Texas,
they played really good second half yesterday against Auburn.
Coloma
damn near come back and beat them.
Coloma had a breakout party. In this game.
He did. 34.
I'm going to say
really good second half.
Is there not one player that is more instrumental to their team? And I know this is kind of off topic, but than Janiyah Broome for Auburn.
Yesterday, yeah. I mean, I agree.
Alan Tellman says they have the worst staff ever. Arkansas, go Cards. We got a Louisville fan on here.
What's up, man? That's good. Listen.
It's nice
I like fans. So
I like people to join in, and this ain't just a Kentucky page. This is all sports.
This is College SportsCast. That's what
speaking of Louisville teams. They picked up a big solid win over Clemson last night.
They did. They've been playing well, 5 straight.
They're improving. So appreciate you, man.
All right. Does Tennessee go into Texas where they took Auburn to the, come back, and Auburn did get the 5-point win, but they blew a 21-point lead in that game?
Yeah, I think Tennessee bounces back. I don't think Chaz Lanier is going to have another bad game like that again because he's just a dynamic basketball player. And I think he's gonna rebound on this. Now, Texas has struggled the last couple of games in SEC play
until yesterday.
They kind of played really well in the second half. Got back in it. They was down double digits at one point.
21 at one time there,
and they fought back. Texas is not a great team this year. They're probably going to be in the middle of the pack when it comes to the SEC, but
you got some good players.
They got some
good. I mean, Tex Johnson's good.
Trey Johnson's probably one of the best.
Johnson, yeah.
But yeah, I think Tennessee wins this game. I think they rebound this game.
I'm going to go with you and say Tennessee, wins it. But all right, Oklahoma travels to Stegman Coliseum, where they pay the referees. I mean, wait a second. That's not what I meant to say. Stegman Coliseum to play the Georgia Bulldogs after beating Kentucky. And Oklahoma, I mean, guys, they still just have the one loss, right?
Yeah, and right now they're up at halftime on Texas A&M 39-30 in Oklahoma. And that's without Wade Taylor. Wade Taylor's not playing tonight. He's out.
I bet he plays next week.
Jeremiah Fears is the real deal. If you've not watched him play,
y'all caught that reference or not, but
Jeremiah Fears is the real deal. He's an unbelievable freshman. You got two good freshmen going at it in this game. Asia Newell with Georgia. He's a really good rebounder. He gets after it. I think I'm going to go Oklahoma in this game. I think Georgia has a letdown game, and it never fails that a team has a letdown game after they play.
You know what? You're so right. I think I'm going to take Oklahoma too. Just because of
reason
that.
I say that is because I'd like to do a documentary or a study test on why teams struggle after they play us.
Yeah.
And somebody mentioned this the other night, and I didn't realize this had happened. Otega Owe was at the free throw line. I think it was late in the game, and he said, "This is y'all's Super Bowl." He was shooting free throws, and he was pointing at, I think, a play. He might have been looking at a player, or a fan, or like motioning at the fans that this is y'all's Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I'm thinking, dude, we're down 12, and you saying this, man? Like,
it's not good.
I'm not a big fan of that, but it is what it is.
All right, I'm going to go Oklahoma here, and the last one on Saturday, Alabama is at Texas A&M. You said Wade Taylor's not playing tonight. I don't know if he's going to be playing on Saturday or not.
Yeah.
But Bama and A&M should be a good matchup.
It should be. Alabama won tonight. They whipped South Carolina. Just not a great performance from South Carolina tonight. South Carolina's going backward. I don't know. They're just not the team they was a year ago. I don't know what's going on there.
Does Bama get the road win, though? Because, I mean, it's tough to get road wins here.
I think if Wade Taylor plays, I think they got a better chance. I just think he's their engine. He's their captain, Wade Taylor, and I think that's what they're missing tonight. He's what makes them go. Now they do got Garcia. They got a couple other guys that are really, really good, but other than that, Wade Taylor is what makes this team run. And I think they need to have him against Alabama to, I think, have a shot, because you're going up against, some guys like Mark Sears, Youngblood, Grant Nelson.
Nelson's been playing really good.
Nelson's playing about as good as we've seen this year. This Alabama team's really, really good.
Imagine if they still had Weitzel.
Well, and the thing is, like Alabama, everybody's thinking about Auburn and all these others. And, you got Tennessee. Look last night, Brad. You had Tennessee go down on the road to Florida. You had Kentucky lose at Georgia. Tonight you had you got Oklahoma up knocking down Texas A&M. Like, road in the SEC. And I want to say this real quick before we get out of here. Road in the SEC, there's nobody going undefeated in the SEC on the road this year. I'm sorry.
No.
It's not happening.
No, there's no way.
Now, I will say that Auburn might have a better record road-wise, some of these better teams. But other than, going undefeated, it's just not happening, because you're going up against environments. You're going up against – we've seen last night with Georgia. We see how the referee was handled. Things change on a dime. It's hard to win on the road. It's hard to focus on the road when you got everything against you. Fans, referees, you have mistakes that happen. The home team gets momentum, and you kind of get down 5 or 6, and you're trying to fight back, and you try to force things. It's just tough.
Yeah, I agree.
You got to win some of your home games, though.
I think I'm going to take Bama on the road, though, and that's I don't want to, but I took Oklahoma on the road. I'm saying it's going to be tough to win them, but I'm picking against what I'm saying. So I don't know.
Says how many home games will Kentucky lose this year? I could see about 2, Corey.
They better not lose. They better not lose more than about 2 in SEC because they're going to lose quite a
They got to
few
win some of their home games.
Road games.
If they can beat Florida at home, as good as Florida is, I think they got a shot against Alabama and these others. I really do.
All right, John. I'm going to throw another wrench here. We're going to talk a couple of women's games tomorrow night. Big game here, guys. Early, second week SEC play. LSU, number 6, I think, goes to Tennessee. Tennessee is 16th this week in the poll, 13-1. LSU is 17-0. They are still undefeated on the women's side, and just playing some really good ball with some great players.
Big road test for LSU. Tennessee's 13-1. Her teams have not lost in Nashville. They've been 2-0. Now this is Coach Caldwell's first season with the Vols.
Yeah,
they started the season unranked. She's done a tremendous job with this team.
JC Kirk is with us. What's up, JC?
Expect plenty of points in this game. Tennessee has one of the top scoring offenses in the country. LSU ranks 3rd. They're always outrunning the breaks. Tennessee, they're up and down pace.
Cooper, they average like 98 points a game.
Talasia Cooper's really, really good for the Vols. They got a
Jules
ton of
Spear.
LSU, I think, limiting turnovers will be key against this team. They have the best turnover margin Tennessee does. They forced the second most turnovers in the SEC.
Anisha Morrow and Flagg Johnson, man.
LSU, the problem I think with LSU is they struggle to take care of the basketball. She's looking for that point guard to take over that role.
Yeah.
You can't turn the ball over against Tennessee's press because if they do, they're going to burn you.
That's true.
But I think I'm going to still go Tennessee in this or LSU in this game. I think they're just a better team. I think they got more veteran leadership. Tennessee is more of a –
Morrow is a double-double machine. Like she's got nearly 90 of them in her career.
She is. Let's go LSU.
Seriously, a week ago she had 88, so double-doubles in her career.
Let's go with LSU. I think they'll win this game by 5 or 6. You got Flagg Johnson, Michaela Williams, Anisha Morrow.
Yep.
This team's really, really good.
They are.
And this will
be
I'm
going to take LSU here too.
This will be their first test on the road, and I think they'll pass it.
If it does turn out, then Tennessee will start out 1-2 in the SEC. They lost to Oklahoma in Knoxville, and if they lose to LSU in Knoxville, that's a rough start after a really good beginning. 13-0 to the season.
Pretty tough.
So we'll see what happens there. I've got 2 more real quick. Also tomorrow night, Duke is at North Carolina. Every basketball fan knows about the men's, but this is 2 top 15 teams here. Mm-hmm. North Carolina's dropped to like 18 or something like that in the poll after Notre Dame beat them last week, but that's a title contender. Notre Dame is. This Duke team is, they've got a good squad, and North Carolina, God dang. I don't know if you guys, it's just a real fun name to say from North Carolina. She is an absolute beast down low.
She is. And North Carolina, they're 1-2 conference. I think Duke's 3-0.
Yeah.
Tar Heels won 10 of their first 11 games this year. They beat Kentucky.
Yep.
They dropped, I think, a game to UConn. Then they lost to Georgia Tech the other night.
And they lost to Notre Dame.
Notre Dame Sunday.
So, they've lost to 3 top teams. Come on.
They have. Now, what happens here, I don't know. You never know about a game. I think This Duke team is really, really, really good. I love this Duke team. They're balanced. Reagan Richardson's really good. Ashlyn Johnson's really good. I think they got 9 players averaging 10 minutes. Ashlyn Jackson, Jaden Donovan, Delaney Thomas. This is a really fun Duke team. North Carolina's got a really good team too.
Kyra Elsie is there, by the way, as assistant coach.
Yeah, she is. Kyra Elsie's there, and
the ex-Kentucky coach.
Toby Foreigner's really good too. This is a fun Duke team. But I think I'm going to go Duke in this one. North Carolina still has some, work to do when it comes to ACC play. I think they're still growing.
I mean, when you're a power player down low and you got the last name GameDay,
yeah.
I mean, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty bad ass, is all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Pretty neat.
I mean, GameDay. I just love it, to be honest with you.
I think Utsby's really, really good. Is it Utsby?
Yeah.
For North Carolina, she's really, really good. She's a really good assist to
she's a guard for him and
yeah.
plays really well.
She has really good rebound. She's got, I think, 9.3 rebounds a game or something like that. But she's really good as well. But I'm going to take Duke in this game.
Wow, I can't imagine. Like, the Tar Heels are such a good team. And you might be right.
I just think Duke's a smidge better.
All right. I mean, I kind of agree with you. So I'm going to go with the Blue Devils as well, I guess, which is hard to say. All right. The last one, top 5 matchup. Big one in the SEC. This is on Sunday. The 2 games we just talked about is tomorrow night. This one is Sunday. Texas, number 5 Texas, goes to number 2 South Carolina. The first of 2 matchups. They play a home and away this year in the SEC. First year for Texas. They matched them up twice. And this is the first of 2 matchups. This time, the Longhorns are traveling to Dawn Staley. What do you think? This is going to be Schaefer and Staley. I mean, this is going to be a
Malaysia for Wiley.
Yeah.
I mean, if you know the name, you've known Brad say it quite a bit.
Yeah, I love saying her name, to be honest.
The really tough
She's
news,
a heck of a player, too.
The really tough news to come out of this was
Ashlyn Watkins.
That's tough.
It is. So the Gamecocks lost Ashlyn Watkins.
She had that situation come up early in the year.
Yeah, she did.
With that whole situation, and then she tears her ACL. Man, just tough.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's going to change things for this Gamecocks team. They're going to be counting on Chloe Kitts a lot.
They are.
A lot.
Quite a bit.
And I'm going to be honest with you. I like Chloe Kitts. Like, she's a heck of a player. And I think she's going to step up for them. I just don't know. I mean, if she gets in foul trouble and things of that nature in a tough game like this, where do they go to? Who do they turn to?
I think Fo White.
Well, I'm talking about for interior play.
Oh, interior.
Where do they go? They got plenty of guards. This South Carolina team's loaded with guards. But on the inside, if Chloe Kitts gets in foul trouble, who do they turn to? That's a legit question.
Do they go to Bree Hall? Maybe.
I mean, they're
Pow.
I mean, they're all guards.
Well, maybe Edwards. Would Edwards be?
Joyce Edwards might be. She is 6'3".
Maybe
and she
Edwards
plays more the wing. but they may have to put her more down low.
What about Fegan? Was it Fagan?
Yeah, Fagan, I think is how they
Yeah,
pronounce it.
she's
I mean,
really
she's a body down there, but she's really not that. I mean, she's not Ashlyn Watkins.
Tack might be the one to Hell Tack.
Yeah,
she might be one to look at.
I know she was one that she was counting on a little later, and I'm not talking about this season. She's a young one that would come along. Tack is, but I'm just saying. I think there's an issue now on the interior with this Gamecock team.
It's a glaring problem.
Yeah. And Texas is coming to town. You've got Madison Booker. Roy Harmon.
Yeah,
I mean, she's a heck of a guard, y'all. Point guard, Roy Harmon is. I mean, and you got Madison Booker, and I mean,
Jordan Lee. Jordan Lee's there.
Yeah.
This is a really good team. Moore's really, really good. She had her season cut short. She tore ACL. She's dealt with tendonitis in her knee, I guess, Brad? 2 years. She's had some knee trouble. Caused her to have limited ability to play.
Texas played at Oklahoma this past Sunday and pulled it out in a tough environment, tough place against number 9 Oklahoma. Now this time they go to number 2 South Carolina. Can the Longhorns pull out the upset here?
I think it's possible, Brad, but I'm not going to go against Dawn Staley at home. She's tough to beat.
I mean, if the guards can control the game for her, I'm just going to go down a list. They have Raven Johnson. They have Tahina Paopao. They have Malaysia Fulwiley. They have Bree Hall. They have Tessa Johnson. They have Joyce Edwards, Chloe Kitts. I think that's going to be their top 7 now. Joyce Edwards is a freshman. She was the number 2 player in the country coming in. She's really, really good. She's 6'3", and she's really kind of ball dominant as a wing. But with Watkins' injury, she may have to go down low a little bit to relieve Chloe Kitts now.
I think I'm just going to take South Carolina in this game. But I do think, like you said, there's a glaring issue when it comes to the forward position. And there's no better coach in America that can figure things out better than Dawn Staley. So I trust Dawn Staley to work her magic and figure things out.
Vic's pretty good with Texas. I'm just saying. Yeah, Vic Schaefer's pretty good.
He's a good coach.
He's pretty good. Now, I think this is a challenging game. I am going to go with you. I think this is a 2 or 3 point win. I think it's that close.
Oh, I didn't even see J.C. Kirk's down here.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. I didn't see him until just saying that.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to go with the Gamecocks here and go Staley at home because they don't lose much at home. I mean, the last 4 or 5 years, I don't know if they've lost any.
Quick thing, Brad, before we get off, shout out Kentucky women. They play tomorrow night. I think it's on the is it the SEC network? Maybe
it's the SEC network tomorrow night, guys.
Yeah. So if y'all want to check it out. They play Florida on the road.
It's actually at 5:00 Eastern time.
Yeah, the women have some weird times.
They do
compared to the men's.
Well, it's because they don't want to compete against other sports and stuff, which I get.
Plus, I get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, I just want to say, Brad, be safe this weekend. They're giving a big snowstorm. I know you might get cabin fever from all this snow. They're giving. I know here they're giving 8 inches of snow by Saturday. So.
So this was from a couple of days ago about our articles. Right now, like I said, I've got a SEC women's basketball article that come out tonight as well. It's a SEC women's basketball power rankings after week 1. And then I have the Orange Bowl preview I talked about. So those are my 2 latest. And then John's got the Cotton Bowl, and I'm not sure what else. What else you got?
That's it right now. I might do one on the SEC power rankings, maybe.
I got one for the women's basketball power rankings.
I'm talking about men for maybe Monday, but be safe out there, Brad. No joke, because it's supposed to get bad, especially your way.
Yeah, go away. Golly, I hate
winter. My dad said it best today. He said he wants 75 and sunny and no snow, no nothing, no cold.
Absolutely.
But
all right, guys, we appreciate it. My Calipari article. This is no joke, Brad. Yeah, over 4,000.
It's hit over like maybe 3,000
off the website.
I said,
not counting some other places.
I told Brad, I said, everybody loves negativity, in which that's really not a negative article. It was really a questionable article.
Yeah.
On why this was happening. And you've seen tonight, Arkansas lost, and I'm sure there's probably a lot of mumbling and grumbling in Hogville tonight. So, better them than us is all I got to say. Brad said it a while back. He said, better them than us at this point.
I was done with that mess. Done with it. Y'all have no idea.
You don't have a clue.
All right. So we did this show a couple of nights early because of the college football playoff games the next 2 nights. So instead of doing it on Friday, we done this a couple of nights early. So we may not see you on here till Monday. Monday night, we will do a Big Blue Hoops Cast show again.
Because Kentucky plays A&M Tuesday night, the boys.
Yeah.
And I think the girls play, is it Thursday? They play.
They play on Thursdays.
Who is it? They play Thursday. Is it out? No. What in Alabama was it? I can't think. But I know the boys.
Arkansas. They play Arkansas.
It's Arkansas. Because I know the boys. Because I know the boys play A&M Tuesday, and then they play Alabama on Saturday.
One of the games they play is Arkansas next week. The girls.
It is. So.
All right.
Fun weekend ahead, though.
We're going to wrap this up. Y'all enjoy the college football playoff games.
And the NFL playoffs.
NFL playoffs. Catch the Kentucky girls tomorrow night at 5:00 Eastern.
Go Eagles! Go Eagles!
Go
rah rah rah! Go Eagles!
All right, go Eagles! You're not. You ain't pulling for no damn Eagles. Cowboys fan.
I will over the Packers.
Oh my God, that's ridiculous.